once again, Xin Zhao is open on the table.
Talia. One thing that makes Pantheon and Xin Zhao really, really strong is Talia. And I think like she's really good at roams. Shanks plays a lot of Talia. I think it only makes sense. But they're just gonna choose the jungler out of the two that are more prominent, like the Xin Zhao and the Pantheon. And again, Tarzan had a fantastic game versus Tess onto that Tarzan. They don't primarily need the Talia. But right here, I would be surprised if we do not see it again. Something like Yorick being locked in right here, but I think that Talia will have to be prioritized.
You don't want to give that over for free unless you seemingly have an answer to it. I know that Knight has now played Zed into Talia, and it is a pretty darn good matchup. However, I think it would be very disrespectful to say, yeah, we'll just let them have the Talia and a guaranteed Pantheon setup. But global compositions coming online for anyone's legend with an answer of a Shen into the top lane for Flandre. Yes! Yes, we get Shen. I'm so hyped.
There's so much roam. If that's a Rise as well, it gets a little bit too much of all the roaming back and forth. Shanks on Azir. Okay, we've jumped onto an AP Yone. For Shanks right here, makes sense, I want to say, with the Pantheon as well. There is just a lot of diving ability from the side of AL, and I think BLG are going to have to slowly be structuring champions that want to be able to kite backwards. Xin Zhao, fantastic at that. Great disruptor when it comes to team fights, and a very good pair for Talia for a mid-jungle aggro duo.
Yeah, well, once again, jungle, mid, and top have been prioritized in the first round of draft between both of these teams, and it means that bot lane is completely on the table. But now BLG have choice for counterpick in the support role. Neither team really has a dedicated super tank. Shen is the closest to being a tank on the side of anyone's legend, so if they wanted to splash into maybe a range support, they potentially could, but BLG, I feel like you definitely want an engage support for on.
Seeing what BLG has also drafted here, I'm thinking that they could pull something crazy like a Lucian Nami over in the bot lane, just completely shut down AL. I feel like if you let AL sort of scale towards that late game, it becomes a little bit difficult because Azir is a big threat. I mean, if you get that big shove, you got Pantheon diving in, Shen on top of that. So the threats aren't that easy to kill from the side of AL, especially with the extra defenses right there. So I'm wondering if BLG want to play like a very restrictive bot lane down there to try and sort of draw attention, but also pressure Hulk and Kael.
You know, now that you mention it, the fact that BLG have something like a Yorick, if you just play away from going 5-on-5s, even if your support is not a tank support, if you have strong disengage, and you just create enough space while Ben is wrecking house in a side lane, I mean, maybe that could be a strategy. That could be a win condition for BLG. We haven't really necessarily seen that many York compositions be successful, but you already called the Lucian, and I have to imagine that something like Anami or Amelia would be waiting in the wings to help make that Lucian even stronger in lane. But BLG are toying with my heart right now. Please lock in the gunslinger. Come on, do it. You know you want to, Elk. No. Oh,
okay.
All right.
I'll one-up you here, okay? You can't be mad with Elk's Ezreal right here. You can slam in a Karma as well for a lot of lane pressure if you want into the Lucian Nami. I would have rather seen the Lucian Nami come through for BLG, but I think that they were scared of the Ezreal Karma on the other side for AL. So right here, you get the push, you get Elk's Ezreal as well, which is, in my opinion, his best champion to date. And you have a very elusive, in general, BLG and a very disruptive team when it comes to team fights. The walls coming in, the Xin Zhao ults, Ezreal being so slippery, Karma with the extra shields and movement speed. I feel like AL are going to have sort of like a very hard time in pinning down certain champions to try and capitalize on them.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Trouble. I think anyone's Legends methods of engage are so easily done away with by the side of BLG. You've got movement speed on demand with Mantra inspired from Karma. Ezreal can shift away as you called out, and then if anyone tries to dash over, Unraveled Earth from Talia. And Xin Zhao can push people away. So I think BLG are well equipped to play a really powerful 1-4 or even a 1-3-1 split push composition and just force anyone's legend to try and answer with a lot of fires on the side lanes from both this Yorick and this Talia.
However, here comes the caveat that if Lucian does manage to get ahead, because Tarzan again is playing that Pantheon, you can get to punish side lanes, you have that very strong early game, right? So if they manage to get a couple of kills onto Hope, the second that this Lucian gets the Essence Reaver early, gets that rapid fire early, you then transition them onto that mid lane, and whoever walks up, he's pretty much just a trade bot. He's kind of like old LeBlanc, if people remember her, where you'll trade huge numbers of HP on your opponent, and you instantly make them up 4 versus 5, which means then you can contest objectives, and they can't. So if they can manage to give that luxury to Hope, he can then return the favor.
Yeah. Tarzan didn't get a chance to play a super proactive game in the first one of the series on the Lilia. This time he's on the Pantheon, and we know how much damage he was able to do against top esports as we return to the Rift for game 2 of the series.
The arena is packed.
Yeah, this is awesome. Both of our series tonight have had sold out stadiums, it feels like, and with how grand the stadium is, the voices echoing from the gyos. Ah, majestic!
Talking about majestic, you see how AL grouped up as 5. So the thing that happened to Beichuan level 1 last game doesn't happen to Tarzan as well.
Yep.
It's okay. Crisis averted. Everyone's been scouted. Wards have been placed primarily for BLG. For AL, they've been placed very defensively, if you see. So bot lane tri-bush, and then that mid lane bush on the right side of your screens as well. So they're just making sure that Tarzan does not get invaded. There's no, like, slimy shenanigans coming through the BLG in the early game. See if one can manage to blunt an RQ here.
Wow, barrier already expended just to maintain health advantage for the side of anyone's legend. Would Tarzan full clear bot side and just run straight bot? They've already pinged that there's no ward coverage from the side of BLG. They could look for it, maybe.
Let's see, if he comes around, he knows that BLG is going to be pushing down bot lane. They do have that level 2 though, so that's going to sort of delay the timing right here from Tarzan. There is a ward, as you mentioned. And he's going to get spotted right here, actually.
Oh, this
by
is
Elk
not
and
happening at all. Yeah, I mean, Elk and On, they're just going to say hello, throw some damage Tarzan's way, and at least it allows Hope and Kael to absorb the wave and be able to bounce it back. But yeah, nothing really gained there, whereas Beichuan is already ahead, farming up his next quadrant of camps.
Yeah, and remind you, he's gonna end Beichuan towards the bot side of the map, take that bot lane scuttle crab. Depending on how the wave looks, Barry is still down for Hope, so they could potentially look, if not for an actual dive, to burn some summoners, but Ulk right here gets a huge chunk of his HP taken away.
Yeah, Electrocute working with the power of Lucian and Nami already putting On at 50% HP. Gonna try to return the favor to Elk. Doesn't have Electrocute Keystone quite back up yet, but ever since they gave all those micro buffs to Electrocute, this has definitely been a much more favorable rune for Lucian to take in these matchups. Shanks, though, getting a lot of damage down onto him as he's absorbing the wave push from Knight. We'll get a chance to recall and probably TP back to lane just to maintain tempo on the map.
Yeah, Talia into Azir is a very happy matchup for Talia. You get the shove. Usually how Azir takes trades in the early game is he will just dash into you. He can't do that due to the E from the side of Talia. So, and the bot lane matchup is pretty much Lucian and Nami want to trade, whilst Ezreal and Karma want to push. Now, of course, it's a pretty beefy wave, but the reason why the dive is not coming through, Azon's going low.
Super close there already. So clutch from the side of anyone's legend. The fact that BLG not able to really extend the advantage there and create an opportunity where Beichuan maybe could have looked for a dive gives hope for the side of anyone's legend bot lane surviving the early game.
Yeah, that bubble was actually clutch from Kael. L could actually not trade, and Shanks actually overstayed his welcome here.
That was close. Have to take the time to walk out of the Unraveled Earth before casting the Shuffle and making sure that he's able to escape. Still has a TP, so he'll be able to TP back to lane safely. So far, Trouble, it has not been a super bloody game in terms of jungle interference, but definitely lanes trading a lot of hands between each other.
Absolutely. I feel like for BLG, you've got priority through top lane, mid lane, bot lane. Like, Beichuan can get to do whatever he pleases, right? This is on to him having that priority through 3 lanes to try and play maybe a little bit more aggro. The dragon has spawned as well, and with so much pressure down from Elk and on this Karma Ezreal duo, I do believe that Beichuan could potentially start to play for that dragon towards the bot side of the map.
Definitely have the push from this Ezreal Karma, and Knight has been able to at least brute force his way through mid lane as well. But once Shanks does hit level 6, there's some playmaking potential on this Taliyah if Tarzan ever wants to sync up. A lot of damage onto Hope. That should be the calling card. As soon as Beichuan finishes this next full clear on this bottom side of the map, should have the confidence to just go for this first dragon of the game.
All right. So I'll give you a little bit of insights, guys, on why that Karma Ezreal duo is so obnoxious, apart from the poke, right? Because usually Ezreal does not like champions that play in the way, because she can't keep this Q past the minions. Now the thing with Karma right here is that Karma will play in the bush, which that will inherently push your opponents towards the upper side of that lane, which is where the Ezreal usually wants to play through. So you'll either get poked by RQ from Karma and then possibly a W and a follow-up, or you'll get poked by Ezreal playing towards the river side of that bot lane. This is why it's so oppressive. And when Lucian Nami trades onto you, you've got shields, you've got mobility, you can literally play through the wave and stuff like this. So this is a small positioning things that you can do. You guys are also playing in your solo queue, Karma Ezreal, to sort of like choke your opponents out of being able to trade onto you.
Oh, big taunt onto Elk right under the tower. At least guarantees 1 turret shot, and Elk is below 50% HP. Thankfully, he's got Karma Shield and he's got a pot ticking up. Flandre,
and cookies.
Yeah, and cookies. Definitely matters a lot too. Flandre at least absorbing the bot 1v2 for now, whereas Hope and Kael very content that they're at least bailed out of that obnoxious 2v2 lane and trying to get some advantages back on the top lane against Yorick.
And in 1 minute, we're going to have Void Grubs as well. I do like the swap right here from AL. They're going to drop the first tower because they know they can't get priority through that Ezreal Karma. However, because it was done very early on, right here, BLG have the funny thing to do where they're going to swap their bot lane after they get that dragon. They're going to put that full priority bot lane over the top side of the map, which is going to pressure again that Lucian Nami lane and potentially even try to contest for those Void Grubs over the top side of the map. Cooldown reduction boots. Purchase right here from Knight. If he's going to be back on the map real quickly.
And the nice thing for Elk too, the fact that he and On were staying on that bottom side of the map means that they got a bigger purchase. Sheen, Tier, Sword completed, where it's only double swords for the side of Hope. So these trades, these Mystic Shot pokes, are going to feel even more impactful in this lane, which is why you see Hope and Kael saying, nope, we don't want to deal with the Ezreal or the Karma at all. We shift back to mid lane. We're going to force BLG to try and send their 2v2 back into mid. But for now, oh, that's a big seismic shove flick. Hope you got to be careful about those, bro.
Man, I don't know what's worse. This is a double-edged sword for Hope and Kael. It's like, hey, do you want to play into the Karma Ezreal? Absolutely not. Hey, do you want to play into the Taliyah? No, I can't dash forward. Knight shuts that down, and remember what we said, with the priority through the Karma Ezreal, they get to sneak in and still at least 1 Void Grub away from AL.
Beichuan forced to use the smite early so that this gives an opportunity for Tarzan to at least maybe go in for a steal, but the fact that BLG get the leash reset, smite is coming off of another few seconds here. Tarzan avoiding the seismic shove. Can he just walk in? But BLG played that so well, all contesting the farthest grub away so that Tarzan could not steal it away. And this guarantees that at least BLG will take 2. They're sending it with the Grand Starfall, looking at Knight, but he flashes over the wall. No way for anyone's legend to close the distance.
Yeah, AL had already committed their body slot with the tops of the map. They tried to make something happen. They do take the flash off of Knight. So next time that ultimate from Pantheon is up, they could potentially look to make a play on tonight, but so far it's been BLG dipping in and out of fights so beautifully. They use their range, they use their push, they use their setup and vision so beautifully to try and collect as many objectives around the map as possible. It's going to be 2 out of 3 Void Grubs, but the whole objective was do not trade 1 tick of feats of strength on the neutral objectives for 1. And that's exactly what they did. Stealing even 1 away when they were second on the rotation right here is more than good enough as a... I don't think anyone wants to play versus that Ezreal Karma lane. It's too much poke. It's too problematic for any lane. of the side of AL to play against, and I feel like Elk's Lucian is one of the most feared Lucians worldwide, I want to say. So letting him get his 2 items, the Trinity into the Muramana, is going to be kind of scary for AL to deal with it.
Yeah, and the fact that Anyone's Legend has not even found a chance to stop it or decelerate it to the slightest bit. The one time Tarzan looked at bot lane, Elk and On said, okay, well, what are you going to do? Like, we push in the wave. Knight taking a lot of damage, knowing that he doesn't have flash from before. The tidal wave is not going to be the finisher, unfortunately. It's just a support ultimate, and Hope tried to do everything he can, emptying what nearly was a full clip.
Yeah, end of the day, Knight gets to push out that wave, and the bot lane from BLG were already in rotation towards that mid lane. So, not much lost right here. However, TP coming through, top lane for Knight. Ultimate's gonna be up quite soon-ish from the side of Tarzan, and that's a flashless Talia towards the top side of the map. That top lane is the longest lane, especially when you are on the red side, and it's getting a little bit scary for Talia to overextend to push down waves when you know that things like Azir and Pantheon can really get a catch on you. However, Ned's gonna respect this, quick shove the wave, resetting.
Well, Beichuan is yoinking a blue buff for free since they have such good vision control on that top quadrant jungle here. Not much that Tarzan has been able to accomplish this game, and even though it doesn't necessarily the Xin Zhao outscales the Pantheon, you would still hope that at least this Pantheon is able to accomplish some things for Anyone's Legend. As you talked about during the draft, the point of this solution is by the time you hit that first item, you're using your culling to force poke and force whoever's answering mid lane out so you can guarantee an objective setup, or you can guarantee a rotation over. We're nowhere near that for the side of Anyone's Legend at this pace.
Yes, it's River not quite yet onto Hope. However, BLG are looking to fight this.
H1 trying to cut off Kael. Remember, this is a squishy Nami forced to flash away. Dragon was secured for the side of Anyone's Legend. They're going to try to push Beichuan away, but the Crescent Guard is at least blocking a lot of damage, but they're still able to do him away. And now BLG have to kite on back. Trust in Elk's Ezreal on, trying to buy as much space as he can. Forced to flash away on the Karma. Bin being another front line here as Tarzan sends it for the Grand Starfall. Not able to get in range to close anyone off. And Elk still playing with fires. He can just boldly shift in on the Ezreal.
That was very confusing to watch from BLG. There's no setup in the river. Plus, you're not playing an all-in composition. You've got a Yorick and a poke bot lane. When Beichuan really does commit for the play, there's not really many other players that can commit in with him. Elk doesn't even have his Trinity Force complete, and right here, Shanks.
Oh, Shanks, he tries to shift, gets the shield, but it's still not enough. No chance in trying to burn the flash away, and Knight could be in trouble here, but if he can cut this one out from Tarzan, maybe it'll be enough. He blocks incoming damage, flashes the seismic shove, and finds the spear, but now can Beichuan equalize it? Doesn't find the wind, becomes lightning. Tarzan walks out alive.
Oof, doesn't get the W right there. Tarzan walks out. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but Shanks, again, overstaying his welcome a little bit on the side lane, gives a freebie over to Knight. Now, let's watch this one more time. Oh, it's actually the bot lane fight. Okay, let's watch the bot lane fight. He was hiding. Okay, that was a beautiful EW from Knight right there. Caught Shanks completely off guard. Shanks was like, hey, I'm just gonna shove this in real quickly, guys, and then I'm back to base. Well, Knight had different angle right there by hiding.
At least Tarzan is able to equalize this. Comes at the cost of his own flash, but decent pickup here for Anyone's Legend to make sure that they do not go away empty-handed. First items are coming online for pretty much every carry in the game on the side of Anyone's Legend. Surprisingly enough, Elk still yet to complete his Trinity Force, but I imagine he should be able to get it on his next back, and also delaying such an expensive item with tier makes sense, but still, I'm very fearful of how this Ezreal is seemingly just coming online for free, and Anyone's Legend have not had a chance to press the gas yet.
However, they slowly but surely are coming online, right? The Essence River has been completed. You're looking at second item on Lucian to really be able to damage, and this is the time where you've got the Essence River that you transition your Lucian into that mid lane, and every single time there's a champion walking up to contest the wave, Lucian Nami will just out-trade that one and just send them back to base. And if you consistently keep doing this, that means that BLG will have less number of champions on the map actively, which means that AL can sort of slowly but surely trim away a lot of the ward spots, a lot of the vision, and as you can... Exactly. Case in point, I guess. Case in point, I guess. And he presses B. He's out.
Yep. 80% of your HP gone just like that. 10 seconds before the Rift Herald spawns. This should at least guarantee anyone's legend has priority in moving first to that objective. Beichuan is coming back out on the map. Merc treads in tow. On will be able to make it back out on the map in time, at least to maybe contest in the aftermath of this Rift Herald being taken. Because it doesn't look like BLG are really in a fighting position to walk up. Meanwhile, Shanks is looking and he flashes over the seismic shove. Knight still has a flash of his own. No Weaver's Wall for the next 2 seconds, but he's not getting out of this one. Shanks being able to rise up and get one back for himself.
I think this is how you do a straight up 1 versus 1 while you've got vision on me this time around. Shanks with that Nashers completely demolishes Knight on a side lane, and I'm happy to actually see that AL have that fight in them, right? They have chosen a composition that does scale a little bit better into that late game, and BLG don't necessarily have a formation they want to play for. Talking about formation, Beichuan looking for Shanks.
Oh, wait, but Shanks was trying to... He tried to TP and he got canceled. Oh, boy. Just as the praise was coming through for getting the 1v1 on the Knight, Beichuan puts him back in the dirt.
I am very confused, though. How can you get a TP off with Sinsao around? I am so insanely confused right there. Maybe it was a misclick by Shanks. It doesn't make sense any other way as Hope.
Elk already burning the barrier here, forced to flash away, but here comes the Pantheon, but great by Beichuan to at least punt him away for a little bit, but still Elk goes down to Hope's Lucian. Here comes the Stand United, but it was canceled. How was it canceled? Did Bid hit the W and just displace him? There's no other way.
There's no other way. Bin just hit over Flandre with a wall, quite literally, and just moved him over. Holy, I don't know if we're gonna have a clip of that top lane.
Please,
of whatever happened right there.
I would love to see if the observer. Oh, please,
here we go.
Cast. There it is. I love this game, man.
That was perfect. That was perfect. Okay, but that fight was pretty much a calling on what we're expecting to see.
Shanks, this could be trouble. He knows that Shanks doesn't have a flash of his own. He's gonna shift over the wall, but Bin, he attacks the E! Burn, baby, burn! It's not gonna happen. Shanks survives.
Ooh. 1 HP right there. Tarzan and Kael are walking towards the top side. Trying to see if they can find an angle onto Bin. That's not the Maiden out as well. Just wants to push the waves. Now Tarzan's gonna show together with Kael.
Yeah, they know that the York does not have flash, but I think he has enough distance to just walk out alive, and Tarzan not gonna be able to lock him down. Kael left mid lane for that, and that gave a lot of turret pressure over to BLG's side. Kael trying to roam back on over, seeing if they can catch out on here. Has flash available, dashing aggressively. The tether is connecting and roots him up. Beichuan now gonna dash on in. He tries to dash away, but Beichuan falls with his own flash. Crescent guard at the ready. Tarzan's in trouble. He has to fight a 2v3 and he's bailing. He's leaving Kael to die, but at least this fish has a flash of her own. And now Knight is coming to pay the piper. Tarzan could be in trouble. Cannot sidestep. The seismic shove was trying to sidestep it, but BLG just running away with the game and extending the lead to 2,000.
It's actually crazy. BLG do not have the semi-globals to follow up on a fight, but they're committing their bodies into the case, and they're just outnumbering AL in their own game. They're looking for the mid lane tower.
Flandre could be in trouble, has a flash if necessary, forced to flash over the W. That's a Shen down without a playmaking ability in case he wanted to look for the next Stand United flash taunt. BLG are doing it again, Trouble.
They're doing it again, and look over to your right side. 3-1-1. Beichuan has had a fantastic series into one of the best junglers in the entire league in the likes of Tarzan. He's doing so well that you could say Tarzan has been invisible so far in this entire series, which is something that you don't usually say about him unless he trips on stage like he did in the finals last year. But that is a whole different situation. Right here, AL, they do not have many avenues. They can dump Shanks on a side lane, wait for him to get 3 items, grab him back in. But again, both of these teams do not necessarily have a formation they like to play. I think Kael majorly rely on Hope getting ahead. He's got another rapid fire cannon, which is very, very important in terms of trading and out pushing into that mid lane. Again, see champion, try to kill champion, try to force champion, to press PC to reset. Therefore, more numbers for AL on the map. But like in terms of how they want to approach these fights, you see that all their champions have so much agency that if AL manage to find key targets in the backline, this could work for them. They don't necessarily have the tools to knock them down.
It's just so limited, right? I mean, you're hoping that Tarzan is always going to connect with a Shen behind his back as Hope opens up the clip. Already, Elk is forced down below 60% HP. Bin is the target now. Tarzan looking for a flashless York. Stun sets up the kill for Shanks to be able to pick up the pieces with the Sand Soldier. It's actually Tarzan that gets him. Meanwhile, fight back in the 2v2. Hope able to sidestep the True Shot barrage as BLG continue to push the pressure. Beichuan now looming over to the bottom side of the map, knowing that Tarzan was here. He is 13, level 12 against Tarzan. Sand United is coming through. This time, the Shen arrives to the party, but can Shanks provide the damage necessary? He's too low to compete. Beichuan fighting to the very bitter end, but he finally gets cut off. BLG able to at least take one with them in Tarzan, but the fact that they lost on in the back half of it does not bode well.
What in the world? Pedal to the metal from BLG. You're one member down. Cannot be making these plays. Sure, they want to punish and trade a kill in return, but playing with numbers disadvantage is not going to do that. That Zinza that's got one extra kill is not going to amount for an extra whole champion. Bin goes down. They don't necessarily have to expend way too many things other than the Azir ult, right? And then Beichuan's like, screw this, I'm gonna 1 versus 2. That's not how it works. Shen still has ult, they see him over in the top lane, and this is the magic of global ultimates. And then Owen just Lascos himself into this whole mess? This is craziness from BLG.
Unfortunately, On is not playing a tanky support. He is playing a squishy enchanter. Was ready to send it with the boys and maybe provide an inspired, if not a mantra-empowered one, but not going to be able to survive once a taunt comes your way and everyone on the damage dealing side from anyone's legend is just able to get free damage into your side. Now, BLG, the gold lead is even. Hope still trading aggressively. Good sidestep on the bubble. Tarzan now looking for On. This time, Shanks was ready to bait out maybe some flashes. Does not commit his Emperor's Divide. Now that's On without a flash. No heal for a couple minutes either, but Elk still has full sums.
Yeah, surely they might actually give that one objective away, right? Unless Knight was able to get a huge chunk right here. They do not have that mid lane push. You see that Bane is actually starting to walk those up both side river, but then he realized otherwise. These big chunks are what we're talking about when we're like, oh, this is what Lucia does really, truly well, and it's been displayed right there. The trade that you take, the fact that you've got an extra member on the map, but now that Atakan is the one under threat, this is where you see BLG like actually move to try and find him.
Could be tricky. I don't think Bin is moving quite yet. Is he going to commit? No, he's TPing now. They need to compete for this Otacon. Already below 4,000 HP. Tarzan's on the other side. They got to stop dealing damage and wait for Tarzan to get back around. The Weaver's Wall cuts him off. He can't get in. Beichuan cast the Crescent Guard and punted him away, even though with the flash that Tarzan had, Thornbound Otacon just got gifted to BLG. They're going to run one down and look for more stragglers here. Bin, can he slow the members down? Hope getting tagged by the ghouls. Another E does not connect. Flash from Knight, looks for the seismic shove, forces the flash out of Kael. Anyone's legend is sent packing, and BLG dominate the map.
I want you all to know that Knight had 0 damage this entire fight, and yet he was the most impactful of them all. That wall to cut out Tarzan from not being able to smite Atakan was the biggest play, more than any damage he could have done in this particular fight. And BLG, that's what they do. They lure you into a false sense of security. The fact that AL were able to zone them out from the Dragon, they thought they were having a pretty free Atakan as well. BLG, again, coming through this one. I feel like they played this beautifully. Talia on one side, Ezreal just dashing, again, shifting through the wall straight into the tribals. Look at Elk here on the left side. Then you have Knight playing on the right side. Then you've got Bin coming straight through with Beichuan, and look at this wall, literally stopping Tarzan from entering. And the second he flashes, Beichuan chains it in with the ult to throw him back out. I mean, Beichuan has had a absolute banger of a series. He's played so damn well. I don't want to say this has been a jungle div, but he has definitely stepped up in this
Oh, I'm
particular
gonna say
matchup.
it. It's a jungle gap. And
Okay.
I'm saying it against Tarzan, one of the junglers that has continuously been at the top of the standings across this entire season. For many seasons of the LPL, we've always recognized Tarzan as one of the best junglers in the world that has had such a long career, not just in LCK, but also... Oh, Hope is under fire, forced to flash away from that true shot barrage. And now BLG being able to just leverage the power and the difference that Beichuan has had in this series. They're continuing to completely run the map.
And Zinza is one of the best champions to do that with. You get ahead in the early game, he's actually really good at snowballing. He's one of the more fizz fighters. I mean, we were mocking it, right? On the 1 versus 1. He's the guy that's basically face rolls the keyboard and starts a fight because he's just strong in that early game with the black cleaver right there. That really benefits the Yorick and the Ezreal through that armor pen in the fights. It just makes it that much harder for AL to deal with. And right here, BLG, they've got that mid lane push. They'll have the top lane push once Yorick gets to it as well. And slowly but surely, they're going to start sipping their vision inside the top quadrant of Tarzan's jungle, which can then mean one pick could mean Baron. Hold up, talking about picks.
Beichuan's got to be careful, though. Here comes the Shen, looking for Knight as Shanks scoops him right into the taunt. Beichuan also falls next, and anyone's legend surge back to life as they now have a 5-on-3. Baron is alive. No jungler from the side of BLG. They can try to rush this objective down.
What? That is a Beichuan giveth, Beichuan taketh from the side of BLG. That was a little bit too deep, and AL were so quick on the trigger. However, that is Poke Ezreal and Karma versus 5, sure, and Bin's on the top side, but let's see if they can poke enough to stop AL from taking down Baron. Oh, I think it's working. Oh, I think it's working.
He's now looking. He doesn't have Embers to bite. He's just giving his life to try and force Elk out of the pit. He's already used Flash. He's already used Shift. They're charging. Oh! They lost Tarzan. Bin on the flank. He's going to give his life to make sure that there's no more smite for the side of anyone's legend. Baron is no longer a thing for AL, but now there's a chance with Beichuan spawning on the map. Shanks able to escape with the TP, but BLG, do they now rip the Baron?
Oh, this is going to be 20 seconds plus with no Tarzan on the map. But again, very low HP for Ezreal, very low mana. You can't necessarily really start that. You need a proper setup for BLG. And right there, that was a little bit of an overextension again from Beichuan. That forced the issue. And AL started the Baron, but huge, massive props to Elk and On for being able to just space them so well.
Oh,
and no way, he got done dirty from Baron. He got interrupted by Baron.
Oh, that's so tragic. I didn't even realize Tarzan was trying to join the fight and turn with the rest of his homies, but Baron, official 6th member of the BLG squad, as this dragon is getting burned down. Tarzan sending it, immediately punted back by Beichuan with the pressing guard. Tidal Wave rips the back line and just tries to stall them from now. Shanks trying to lock down the Xin Zhao with the rest of anyone's legend, peeling off to the left side. Looks like Dragon was already secured. Knight trying to flash forward, looking for a play. Will not find anything as the rest of anyone's legend just walk away.
That's just crazy. None of these teams have any sort of lockdown that can stick onto members of each other. So it's just a constant ping pong of who's gonna flash forward to try and 50-50 some sort of form of CC, like a flash bubble or a flash shove by Shanks. Or a flash taunt if Flandre is around. It's the same deal for BLG, you know, a tether or a knock-up from Talia could do the job right there, but it's just so difficult for both of these teams to pin anyone down.
Yeah, and then when you are one of the squishy carries that gives up their potential life, flashing to make that play, now you're a bigger target for the enemy team that has flashes to spare. So Knight is really trusting in Elk's Ezreal to carry the team fight forward, even if he is the priority target for anyone's legend's next engage.
Oh, they're looking here for BLG. They're trying to bait AL to scout for the Baron. But AL are playing very carefully right here. Trying to hover over the walls as close as possible to set down some vision to spot BLG and whether they're doing Baron or not. Shanks and Tarzan on that blue buff might get stolen away.
A lot of damage already
onto
Elk there.
No, it's not.
Hope 75% HP on the Lucian. Did not burn the culling. No summoner spells were burned on the side of Elk. Barrier still intact. Heal on the same for On. Oh, this is so tense, Trouble. We're almost 30 minutes into the game. Neither team has a sizable advantage.
No flash.
Tidal Wave is going to interrupt him, but not enough damage comes through on the side of Hope's Lucian. It's enough to at least guarantee the tier 1 in the mid lane, and maybe anyone's Legend could look to bleed this pressure into the top side.
Seraphs and Zonias right there from Knight kept him alive. On was around as well with potential heal or shield to save him. However, that was a great pick right there from Hope, forcing Knight off of that mid lane tier 1, starting to take a few more towers on the map. This is only the second tower that AL have been able to take. Hope. Nice dodge.
God. Oh! Hope is in trouble. Forced to flash. Here comes the Weaver's Wall. Knight is going to send it downtown looking for that Lucian, knowing that he doesn't have summoner spells here. Barrier already popped. Knight for looking one more. Tarzan going to valiantly defend his AD carry from falling. Shanks is in trouble, but he flies over the left wall. Tarzan's now in trouble. He gets flubbed back. Seismic shove connects, and now they don't have their jungler BLG having open access to Baron.
What is going on in this game? We have Hope dodging, then he gets out, then Beichuan dashes back in. They try to kill Hope, but he gets away, and then Knight sends it, but then he's not the one dying with no flash. What?
And this Baron is for free for BLG. There's no smite. No one can even get in range to see if they can try and yoink it away with a stray skill shot. Shanks, oh my goodness, I thought he was in no man's land there. Still had the shuffle. Knight boldly walks forward, catches Shanks with the seismic shove. Emperor's Divine only pushes the back momentarily. Hope tries to empty the clip. A little bit of damage to the backline, but BLG got what they came for. Tarzan still dead for another 2 seconds. BLG will get the tier 2 in the mid lane. They're gonna look for as much as possible. TP from Knight rejoining the fight.
Can they potentially look to end right here? 35 seconds onto Azir. If they get a second pick right there with a knockup from Knight, they could potentially choose to end the game. It's not gonna be the case. AL are overextended, but BLG are forcing this game.
They have Baron buff on their side. They have York Maiden. They have essentially a 7-man push with Cannon Minion
and
Maiden. Tarzan goes into the backline. Elk forced to flash. Stand united. I think it got interrupted again. No Flandre comes through. But if you only kill the support, that's nothing. You've got to take out Elk. But he still lives. And now it's Hope. The shining hope. It's not going to be enough to take out BLG. Revitalized, rejuvenated with Beichuan. Their 4th straight series win.
BLG are back. And I want to say something. Stay with me for that one, okay? Top Esports was the best team in the league. They got 2-0'd by AL, who got 2-0'd by BLG. Therefore, by the process of eliminating one of these teams one by one, BLG is the best team in the LPL. There you go. You don't look very impressed with my theory.
No. I am. I'm just... I think BLG are back. I know, like, that might not hold such weight because I was just like, last series, oh, NIP are back. No, guys, look how BLG are playing right now. Beichuan has clearly brought a second win to this roster, and Knight and Bin are playing like the players we expected them to play with what they showed in 2024. Elk and On are firing on all cylinders, and while, yes, anyone's Legend definitely gave them a challenge, BLG still overcame it. They still dominated what should have been the definitive best team after sweeping Top Esports, so now the race for the top is so damn exciting.
That was such a very hard game to execute from both sides because it needed so much skill expression. When you do not have a proper way to play the games, it comes up to skill expression and how much agency you have in the game. And both teams were dead even until the end. If Hope got a good trade, then AL would win that trade and then they'd go neutral objectives. If BLG managed to turn this around with an insane knockup from Knight or a great trade from Elk and On, then they were the ones winning that. So it all came down to skill expression. And honestly, if you were to tell me, hey, it's going to be a skill expression matchup, AL versus BLG, yes, I'd say, yeah, okay, AL win this. They've been on fire, right? But we criticized Bin and Knight for the laning phase. They've had stellar laning phases versus AL this entire series. We had a magnifying glass onto Beichuan. He's playing against one of the best junglers in the LPL.
Yes.
What can he do? Absolutely fantastic performance. The pathing, the decision making, the way he played as the carry in game number 2. And lastly, we're like, BLG used to be very selfish, not playing for their jungler. They played for Beichuan, both in game 1 and game 2 when it truly, really mattered. So I don't know if it was them being reinvigorated or Beichuan shot calling or what it is, but this swap is truly, really working for them.
Yeah, whoever is shot calling for this team, I think at least there's much clearer and more open communication from everyone at BLG, because all the objective fights, for the most part, seemed very in sync. The grubs take, they all knew that we need to take the farthest grub away from Tarzan so that we do not give over 2 grubs and guarantee the majority for ourselves. Some of the dragon fights, they're playing as a unit. Now, you know, there's a couple times when it's like, hey, why are we forcing the objective here? We should be playing for poke. But then they corrected later. So, you know, BLG aren't at 100% yet, but this is so much better on average per series with Beichuan in the lineup than what was happening with Wei earlier in the season.
Yeah, and I feel like you saw it from the damage graph there as well. The damage was pretty much dead even, because a lot of the damage that Ezreal does is a little bit placebo as well. Through like poking lane and whatnot. But you saw how dead even it was. And we had moments like this that were really fun, where Knight sits in the bush, kills Shanks, and then Shanks takes the 1v1 straight to him. Like, straight to him. Like, you see me, I see you. That's a proper 1v1, and takes him down. I will say I did not see Shanks today, and I did not see Tarzan today. I feel like everyone else was locked in from the side of AL, but their mid-jungle duo was lacking, especially in that early game. Tarzan was shut down over and over again, and that thing, it inherently ties to that mid lane and how much Shanks does for Tarzan, and just the synergy was not there for AL today, and it truly showed.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to Tarzan this series, man. I just, like, the first game tries to force the advantage with Lilia and goes even into Sejuani. That's a jungler's nightmare right there. And this game, when you're playing Pantheon, it's just so hard to force anything onto these lanes. You already saw that there was clearly, you know, a game plan to try and gank bot lane, full clearing red camps into level 3. You can't do it against Ezreal Karma, especially when they get the wave push exactly like that. And it just seemed like there was no other options that Tarzan felt comfortable with. And if you're just letting the game go by that quickly, and Beichuan was clearly in the mindset, there's nothing that's going to happen from Tarzan's side. I'm going to power farm, and I'm going to get a slight advantage, and then I'm going to make more proactive plays than Tarzan in this game, which is just crazy to think. This is Beichuan we were talking about. This was a guy that was on Thunder Talk. Obviously, he was the driving engine for that team, but that team, in terms of the players they have, are nowhere in comparison to BLG. And when Beichuan comes onto this roster, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Okay, maybe he looks better because he has better players on his team. I didn't expect him to look this good. Like, what the frick?
There are multiple examples with like Milky Way last year or Jeje last year, where you were looking at their skill expression versus their teams of where they were last year, and you're like, surely they deserve a team that plays a little bit more proactive around them because they're so damn good. Beichuan was always okay and decent in his team, but he had never showed these really high highs. And right here, BLG saw something in him. They gave him the chance to show up. They actually given him pretty good support as well, I want to say. I feel like more support than Shorter Way ever got with the way that BLG was playing, right?
Yeah.
So there's truly not just a shift in who the jungler is, but I think a shift in mindset on how BLG wants to act around the map. And I think this might be tied to Beichuan maybe being a little bit more firm with his shot calling, requesting the assistance for BLG, and then BLG having to back him up.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe Beichuan behind the scenes is vocally more, or advocating more vocally for the things that he needs or the things that he wants, and BLG are responding well to that. Obviously, I still would have liked to given it to Beichuan at least one of the games this series. However,
whoa. Hey, he ran it down one too many times in this game, okay? He had the lead. And then he gave the lead.
I know. And I'm just like, damn, what could have been? That would have been so cool. But you know what? At least Elk was a monster on this Ezreal. But man, what a freaking cool series to just watch unravel before our very eyes. Obviously,
the whole day, right?
The whole day, back to back, unexpected outcomes where NIP rise to the occasion with their new player coming in solo kill, and now BLG rising to the occasion with their new player coming in to sub in Beichuan. I mean, power of subs in the middle of the season, clearly working overtime for both of these teams today.
Absolutely, just a shift in mental, you know, like especially when you're losing a lot, especially like NIP. I cannot imagine what the tragic must have been behind the scenes, right? To just constantly lose and not have any clue how to win anymore, how you used to win. I think they definitely needed a shift somewhere around the map. They found it over in the top lane. Great that it worked for them, especially against BLG Gaming. Again, a middle of the pack team that is really looking to get to that third place themselves.
Yeah, well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, our broadcast for today is over. But before we close out our show, we want to remind everyone that, and also say thank you very much to our elite coffee supporters, Aaron Soup, Mung, and Forrest Without. Their pledged financial contributions help level up the broadcast and give back to the cast and crew who strive to give you an English LPL product every day. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. This was a blast. Trouble, before I close out the show, any last words?
No, it was amazing. A day full of anything that could ever be expected. Actually, that could not be expected. And it was a pleasure working with you as well. And thank you to everyone who's tuning in to watch.
You know, this was our first cast together, and I could have not asked for a better outcome, a more exciting turn of events as we look at our group standings to remind everyone where everyone ends up at the end of the day. Sorry, my producer is yelling at me in text comms. That's my bad. I forgot we have to do the standings first. Producer, let me know if you want to run anything else, because I accidentally closed my run of show once I did the ad read. So just that's my bad. I jumped the gun. All right. Okay. Producer very reluctantly going, no, you're good. All right. Well, our broadcast is over, y'all. Thanks again for tuning in. See you all next time tomorrow, same time. Stay healthy.